Hey guys, welcome to Growth Point, and I'm excited to be coming in your space. I'm not alone, I'm with David Vitamin. David, welcome to Growth Point.
Thanks, Q. It's good to see you again.
Likewise. How has it been your side?
Nice. It's been a good start to the year. January's been good. No Januaries.
No Januaries. Oh well, I like that. January has been good. So you have been speaking about goals, setting goals for the year, being optimistic and positive. How has been the last 24 days of January so far?
It's been very good. One of the things I did realize this month, well, I don't know if I realized it or came to just the conclusion that we tend to talk so much, Q, about so many things, but we do so little.
Oh wow.
So it's great to have goals.
Uh-huh.
It's great to have all these New Year's resolutions. But history tells us that you can talk about things until you go blue in the face.
Yeah.
When you don't do, it's useless.
Wow.
So that's one thing in January, and particularly in our board meetings as well, because it's the beginning of a new year.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of talk, too little doing.
Oh wow, I like that. And in that point, don't ask me about my gym membership. I spoke of beginning of the month. That's another story for another day. But in any case, guys, we have a show for you today. We are in 2024 and you are in South Africa. That's our elections year, and there's been a lot of talk going around. We've covered quite a bit of that as well. David, just a quick one. Are elections our savior?
No, not elections. Elections is just an event, Q. It has to happen according to the Constitution. It's an event. Think about somebody organizing a dinner. You still have to arrive and eat the food. It's the same with elections.
Yeah.
The elections are there, it's an event. You've got to arrive and you've got to do something.
Yeah.
Think about dinner. It's no use arriving and just looking at the food or standing around. You've got to step up, you've got to sit down, you've got to eat, you've got to engage. It's the same with elections. Election is an event that the IEC puts together, and we have to go there and we have to draw our cross.
Wow, I like that. So we have to look beyond that.
Oh yes.
We have to look beyond that.
Yeah, it's like we chatted over the last few weeks. You've got to, number one, know why you're going to draw that cross, which means you've got to find out who is behind that political party. Who's the party, what's their manifesto, who are the individuals, what's their track record, and more importantly, I think, than anything, Q, is that do you trust them to deliver in the future what you want for your future?
I like that.
Not what they are promising, but what you want for your future.
I like that. So important. I actually appreciate that because it's really paralleling with what we are speaking about today, and that we're speaking about the grants. And just a couple of weeks back, our head of state did mention that we should applaud ourselves, or the ruling party should be applauded, because they've done so well that we have more people on social grants than we did in 1999. In fact, I think it's around 22 million as opposed to 2.8 million in 1999. Is that something to celebrate, David?
It's a disgrace. It's an insult to the people of South Africa. And let me tell you why I believe that, Q. What we've done is we've said to people, it's okay for you to take money from your fellow South African because we as a government couldn't put the policies in place to create jobs that would allow you to work and not be dependent on your neighbor. And let me elaborate on that. So, as per the official website of SASSA, and SASSA is the South African Social Security Agency, there are 10 grants available in South Africa. 10 various grants. So that's number one. But it also says social assistance is an income transfer in the form of grants provided by government. But we need to understand that no government in the world has money of its own. And that's very important.
Yes.
There are only 3 ways that a government can in money, can get money, can collect money.
That's right.
They can't generate it themselves. So the first way that a government has, the first tool it has, is by collecting taxes. Whatever tax, whether it's pay as you earn, whether it's VAT, value added tax, whether it's tax on fuel, whether it's tax on transferring a home, whether it's import tax, a tax, export tax. So government receives taxes, provided that we pay them. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you get into a situation where those taxes are not enough, government can borrow.
Yes.
But remember this, government borrows on behalf of you and me. Because what is government? Government is a group of people that you and I elected in the last election.
That's right.
To do what they said back then. Remind that when you draw your vote in this election, to do what they said they were going to do.
Wow.
So the second part is they borrow money, but from locals. What does local mean? They come to people like you and me and they say, Q, you've got some money that you're investing with the bank at the moment. Invest it with us. So they borrow it from us. Because at the end of the day, like a bank needs to give me back my money. The government needs to pay me back that money. But here's the challenge. The bank is going to give me my money back with interest added. The government has to give me money, my money back with interest added. Where do the government get the interest from? So at a very high level, simplified, they take your money and my money, add it to the taxes, and they build schools, they build roads, they create policies where we've got access to better electricity or better access to schools and all of those things. As a result of that, businesses flourish. Because the businesses are doing better, they can employ more people. Those people, together with the businesses that are doing better, pay taxes. So the taxes become more. A portion of those taxes can then be used to repay the interest as well. If that is not enough, they go and borrow offshore. So they go to people outside of South Africa and they say, please lend us some money. So I'm not going to go into that, but it works on the same principle. Now we also have to pay those people back their money and add interest to that. That interest portion is a big problem in South Africa. So when we look at grants, it is a combination of those monies. So it's your tax, it is some loans that they take from you, and then whatever they borrow from somebody else outside of South Africa, when whatever is available in South Africa is not enough. Now, a portion of that goes to grants. So what they're doing, government is doing, and this is global, it's not unique to South Africa, but what they do is they say, okay, we're going to take your hard-earned taxes that you pay to us, and we're going to give it to people that don't have jobs. That's a grant. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Grants are a good thing. Let me be very straight there. I am all in favor of grants, for the simple reason that we will not eradicate poverty in my lifetime. And simply speaking, Q, I don't see a world, and because we've never seen a world where we will eradicate poverty. Because poverty eradication means we get rid of it completely. So it means everybody has a job. Nobody is poor. Everybody gets a decent meal every single day. They've got shelter, they've got clothing, they've got access to education, to water, to electricity, they can afford transport. That's eradication of poverty, which means all of the grants are gone. Now think about it. That means that 22 million people in South Africa, more or less, based on the president's latest numbers, 22 million people will have an income on their own, or by their parents, or by their uncles and aunts, enough for them to have shelter, clothing, food, transport.
That's it.
To get them to a job, on a road that is safe, and at night they can come back, they don't have to worry about criminals. So we need to make sure 22 million people don't get grants at all. That's eradication of poverty. At its most simple.
Wow, I like that. But how practical is that?
Well, let's think about it. Practically, we need to create jobs. There must be jobs. There is no South African that is, at the moment that I've spoken, that is happy about getting a grant. They need the grant. Let me share some numbers with you. As at April 2023, and these numbers come from the SASSA website as well. The type of grants is irrelevant, but the biggest grant is 2,110 Rand as in October of last year. 2,110 Rand. That's the biggest grant. It happens to be paid to people, old age grant, above 75 years old. If you younger than that, it's 2,090 Rand. The lowest grant is paid as a child support grant top-up. That's 250 Rand. The standard child support grant is 510 Rand. So keep those numbers in the back of your mind. So child, if I'm a parent and I have a child and I'm grant, I get 510 Rand. But I also get possibly 2,090 rand. So let's say I get 2,500 rand
Mm-hmm.
for me and one child.
Yeah.
Okay, that's at 2,000. To get a decent meal in South Africa at the moment. In other words, we're going to buy a meal that we can eat that is hopefully
Yeah.
nutritious as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then remember, that's food. Now I still need to clean
Yes.
toothpaste, whatever I need to clean myself and my house
Yes.
and my clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So the food poverty line in South Africa at this point in time, and we can put these things on the website if that or on the video, but the food poverty line is at the moment 760 rand per person in South Africa.
Wow.
So what does it mean? It says that individual needs, just in order to afford the minimum required
Mm-hmm.
nutritious food,
Yes.
they need to buy 760 rands worth of food per person.
Per person.
For a child, it's even more. For a child, it goes up to 946 rand. But now remember this, it's 946 rand that a child requires.
Mm-hmm.
But the grant is only 510 rand.
Wow. Wow.
So what's the value of the grant? Where's the balance? But to make it even worse,
Uh-huh.
as of November of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
the average price for the basket that they measured at that time
Uh-huh.
was 5,300 rand, 300 rand, let's call it 5,300 rand,
Uh-huh.
for a family of 4,
Mm-hmm.
5,304 rand, just to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Then they needed to add an additional 1,000 odd rand, just over 1,000 rand, to buy cleaning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for 4 people, call it 6,000 rand, 6,500 rand.
Yeah.
The minimum salary in South Africa. So it is also more than people earning a minimum wage. The minimum wage at the time is 4,473 rand.
Oh, wow.
That's provided you have a job.
Yes.
Now think about it. I get a 2,000 rand, give or take, grant.
Mm-hmm.
500 rand for a child. What's the value of the grant? Does it, and what I mean by the value of the grant is not what can it get me. The president celebrates the fact that we've got 22 million people on grants. So what he's celebrating is that we've got 22 million people that's not getting enough money to survive.
Yes.
And we give them that money, but take it from the people around this and whoever is watching this and has a job.
Yes.
That's what we're celebrating.
Wow. That's
22 million people. We've got about 60 million people in South Africa, if we can believe the numbers. About 60 million. Make the sum. Which means a third of people in South Africa
Yeah.
does not have a job, and
Yeah.
we're counting children and old people. But the fact of the matter is, we've got 22 million people that the government says, oh, we gave them something.
Uh-huh.
But they don't tell those same people that that something can't buy you a decent, nutritional meal. That's what we celebrate.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So is it sustainable? We need to talk about, can we keep on paying the money? Or is it sustainable for people when we know that something like, I think it's 1 in 4, 1 in 5 children below the age of 5 years is not developed at the stage where they should be
Wow. Wow.
because of nutrition.
Wow.
So is it sustainable from a financial point of view? No, because in order to cater for that, you and I will need to pay more taxes.
That's it.
But the tax base is this small in comparison to the 22 million.
Yes.
So remember, the taxes come from this amount of people.
Yeah.
So can we do it? No. Now add on top of that the fact that the government needs to give people grants.
Yeah.
But they also need to build roads without potholes for these people to hopefully go and find a job.
Yes.
But the grant that they give them can't even buy food, let alone pay for the taxi to go and find a job.
Wow. Wow.
So you and the people listening and watching, you decide if the
Yeah.
grants are worth it.
Wow.
Is it sustainable?
Wow. David, these are very sobering facts. And facts don't lie. That's actually what's on the ground. And I do concur with you when you say poverty eradication, really it's a far-fetched cry. But what can one do with what we have, where we are right now? We know that we have the elections coming, but the elections are not an answer to anything. They're a gateway, they're a doorway. But for the individual watching right now, what kind of a mindset must they have going forward? Because this is sad. In any case you look at it, it is very sad. What kind of a mindset? Because also what I'm thinking of right now is even that child who's trying to go to school, they're not going to go to school. So this vicious cycle of poverty is going to continue from one generation to another, because there aren't systems and structures in place to make sure that we address these problems.
Yeah. Q, there's not a formula that we can say, well, if you follow this, if you fill in these numbers, then it'll work. There's not a tick box exercise. You've heard me say this before. I'm a big fan of the idea of it takes a village to raise a child. I call it an idea because it's no longer a real practice globally.
Yeah.
But it takes a village to raise a child means that everybody needs to play a part in the village.
That's it.
Because in the future, the child will become the village, seniors,
That's
and
it.
elders. So what does that mean in simple terms? Well, think about what we need today. So let's make it practical. The average South African, the average South African wants to wake up in the morning, and let's start with that. They want to wake up in the morning in decent shelter,
Yes, sir.
safe. Overnight they weren't burgled.
Yes.
They have access to electricity. They have access to running water.
Yes.
They then have access, or they have clothing that they bought with a job salary that paid them enough, because the policies are in place to cater for job creation and new businesses. Now those policies don't exist at the moment.
Yeah.
And anybody that says they do exist just needs to look at the 22 million plus the unemployment figure in South Africa.
That's it.
You spoke about facts. If the policies are there and those policies are working, in other words, the right policies, we will not have 22 million people unemployed. And we will not have the number of unemployed people we have at the moment.
That's it.
That is government's fault. It is not private. It is. We can blame whoever we want. The fact of the matter is the policies are not in place. And whoever wants to tell you that over the next election or during this election season, they are lying. So, we've just celebrated matrics, and we should celebrate it.
Yeah.
What they don't tell us is how many kids started in grade 1 and how many of them wrote matric.
Wow.
Ask them for those numbers, because they know that, but they don't make them public. They tell us, oh, we've got an 84% success rate, 95% success rate, pass rate. Well, you asked, what do we need to do? First thing is, we tell our children, it is okay to only know 35% of a subject. We tell them that.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're saying, and I'm oversimplifying this, but think about it. We're telling people that if you want to become an accountant, it's okay if you only know 35% of the 100 things that you should know. We tell the brain surgeon, it's okay to only know 35% or 35 out of every 100 things that you should know. We tell the plumber, it's okay to only know 35% of every 100 things that you should know. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Now people will say, yeah, but that's not the qualification. The fact of the matter is, we're telling the majority of South African young people and their parents, in other words, the village, that we as a government are happy to tell you that you only need to know 35 out of every 100 things to get a good job that pays you a decent salary, that allows you to get decent shelter, transport, food, etc., and gives you the opportunity to develop yourself in the future. And then those kids step out and they realize, ooh, I actually have responsibility for 22 million people. Because it doesn't matter how I work. The more I earn, the more government takes to give to these people. And let's not forget the hollow-ridden corruption and what this government has stolen from South Africans since they came into power. We have to discuss these things.
It's true. Wow.
So, what do we need to do? We need to equip ourselves with knowledge, right knowledge, factually checked knowledge.
That's it.
And don't look for things that support what we think, what we believe, what we want to hear. And unfortunately, politicians in South Africa and globally rely on telling us what we want to hear as opposed to telling us the truth.
That's it.
And we are stupid. And go look at the definition. We are stupid because we lap it up, because it sounds nice to us.
That's it.
And we keep on believing people that, no, let's just give them another chance. Let's just give them another chance. When do you stop? If you go to the doctor and he makes the wrong diagnosis 3 times in a row, will you go back to them? Will you give him another chance? Or are you going to go to another doctor?
Exactly.
So we need to go to another doctor now
Yes.
and trust that doctor. whether we know that doctor or not is actually becoming irrelevant, because we need to trust in something better than the trust we have at the moment in the political parties that have not delivered.
Wow, wow. David, this is again second time hearing me say this in less than 20 minutes. It's a sobering thought. But at what stage, I want us to sort of like finish with this thought. At what stage, Colin, at what stage do you concede that you have totally failed as an entity?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. Personally, I don't have a problem with admitting when I've made a mistake, because I learn out of it. The problem is, are we talking about the entity, and in this case government, admitting that they failed, or us admitting that we have failed in voting for the same nonsense year in and year out? They will never admit it because they haven't.
Yeah.
Let's go back. They don't see 22 million grants as a failure. They see it as a celebration.
Yeah.
They don't see 35% to pass as a failure. They see it as a celebration. They don't see if a million people went to grade 1 and only 500,000 write matric. They don't see that as a failure.
Yes.
So they celebrate that half of the people that went to school passed at 35%.
Sure.
That's what they celebrate. So we, as the people that are going to make the cross, need to say, how do we hold those accountable that have failed me, given what I want for my future? So the entity will never do that. You and I need to say, we failed in doing the right thing for ourselves by trusting people that have been lying to us, they've abused our trust. So failure is maybe a strong term in terms of them, but I would turn it back to the village and say, if you are not happy with the elders in your village, or if you're not happy with the youngsters in your village, you have to hold them accountable. We have to hold our political parties accountable. So failure, I think we failed, to be honest, because we voted for what we now have. And if we keep on voting for that, we will keep on failing ourselves and our children.
Wow, I love that. Wow, wow. Well, it's been said in many circles that the government is a reflection of its people, and the opposite is true. And I guess we have to share that either the successes or the failure. We have to share it. We have to take account of everything that we've done right and everything that we've done wrong. And for those that are really looking at voting and so forth, it was interesting this week. I saw that those that are also out of the country can still vote.
Yeah.
They can still register to vote online, and they can still vote. That's one thing, or one part of playing your own role in where we are hoping to steer this nation toward. David, I appreciate this. I appreciate the facts.
As always, Keith.
And guys, this has been Growth Point, and I believe we said the facts correctly. Fact check it, share this passionately and widely, but more than anything else, it's time to play your part. Guys, we'll see you next time. Cheers.